Hello, everybody. In this recorded lecture, I will be covering the first chapter, or basically introduction to SAS Enterprise Miner. So let's get started. I have this couple of slides which says sort of tries to explain the difference between uh, guide and miner. I'll come back to this at the end of this presentation. So just to inform you, I'm using these three books or these three books from SAS for teaching SAS Enterprise Miner to you guys for in this class. So these three books are you published by SAS, and they're not that expensive, and and I, if I'm not wrong, I think this book might be even free. And but I'm going to provide you all the resources. Just wanted to tell you where all the information is coming from. So these are the three big books from which I sort of pull the information to teach you. Okay. Uh, so first, let's look at the interface of SAS Enterprise Miner. So this is how SAS Enterprise Miner looks like, and I will be teaching you how to create this nodes and everything. So right here on the top, which is pretty standard, is your menu bar. Or you know what, let me open my Enterprise Miner here, and let me move that here so I can show you that. Okay, so right here, this file, edit, view, actions, that's your menu bar, like any other MS Office program you have. And then right here, this thing is called your project panel, which is, when you are creating getting the data in, or creating a various project flows inside a diagram. All those shows up here. So we will be creating a library, data sources, diagrams, and saving projects. Everything you do shows up here in the project panel, which is very much similar to, if you remember, if you have used MS Access. So this is like very much similar to the project panel you have there. Okay. The next one is the properties panel. So if I click on this data source which I have, and that's the data source I'll use in one of my examples too, it shows its properties right here, various properties associated with it. Same way, when I'll start pulling, let's say, some node or something, and if I click on that, its property shows here as well. So whatever I've clicked on, whether it's the node or data source here, or I can pull the data source here, its properties are shown in the properties panel, which we will be playing around, changing the properties for data sources or some of the tools which nodes which we will be using. Okay. Then you have your help panel right here. Oh, looks like our help panel is not working. Nothing is showing up here. So it just gives you information what you have clicked on, some information about that. Okay. Now this place right here is called your diagram workspace, and that's where we have all these various nodes which we will add, and that's what I'll be teaching you in the SAS Enterprise Miner, as how to connect these nodes to create a data mining process flow. But this whole white area, that's where you will we'll keep on dropping various nodes from here. This area is called workspace, diagram workspace. Okay. And so in this diagram workspace, we are dropping all these nodes, And once these nodes are connected to each other, so let's say these are connected to each other, this is called a process flow. So just to show you an example right here, a diagram workspace and a process flow. This process flow shows us data source added, some values we changed, then we did data partition. If you remember from my previous presentation, we have to partition the data at the 60, 70 or something like that, and then you did decision trees on them, and in this process on the top you did regression. Okay, and then each of these are called nodes, which we get from the bar right here. So these are the nodes which have a specific function which we use. Okay, so what are these nodes? Right here, can you see sample, explore, modify, model, access? That's where we will stop. That's what we will cover in this class. And if you remember, that stands for SEMA, the data mining methodology which we are going to use. Of course, there are other tools available as well, which we don't have license to. So we have license only to these tabs on here. So that's your SEMA tools palette. And under each of those, like SEMA with S stands for sample, you have these various nodes: append, data partition, file import, filter, input data, merge, sample. And each of them have a predefined function for each of these nodes. So for example, data partition is right here. So what this data partition does is it divides the data, let's say 70% for training and then 30% for testing the algorithm. So that's what that does. Then sample has those, explore has association, cluster, DMDB. Even I don't know all of them. I'll be teaching you few of these, like we will use stat, explore, from, explore, and some others. Then modify, we will use impute, and again all of them, impute is used for missing values, and you know, the documentation which I provided gives you detail about each of them. Replacement, transform variables. Then model is the sort of the most important, sorry, not model, the access, but model has model is where we have you have your neural network. Actually, this is AutoNeural, another version of neural network. Decision trees, DMine regression, DM neural, Assemble, and all those. So that's the main neural network which we will be using. PLS, regression, rule induction. So we will be mainly using regression, neural network, and decision tree. So those are some of the tools, the nodes or the model which we will build in this class. And then finally, once you have a build up this model, let's say I build up one model with decision trees, one regression, one neural network to do some prediction. I want to assess my model, right? I want to do model comparison, and then I want to score my result. And again, you know, don't worry, don't get confused. I'm going to teach all of these things to you. Just wanted to show you where everything is arranged. So it's pretty easy to do all these. They all are, you know, available, and it's pretty available right here. And we just simply connect them with changing some of the properties right there. In the first thing which we do is, once we get a data set, which is this data set, which I'll explain more about it in the next in the other different lecture, we will explore this data set and see what kind of data we have and if there are any issues, missing values, things like that. But that's sort of how your SAS Enterprise Miner looks like. Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention was that at least for me, when I installed my SaaS software, I installed everything. So I have all these tools available in your previous, if you did take the previous class, I think, which is like business analytics sort of one. We use SaaS Enterprise Guide, and in this class I'll be using for data mining Enterprise Miner. And so Miner is right here and Guide is right there, and both of these are sort of a GUI, graphical user interface, which sits on top of a base SaaS program. So if I open the base SaaS program, this is where you will manually write code like a programming language. But we are using these graphical user interface on the top. So SaaS Enterprise Guide is mainly used for querying or filtering data, preparing data for analysis, for descriptive analytics. So those things, or if you wanna do some sort of add some SaaS programming to it. SaaS Enterprise Miner is mainly used if by business intelligence people or data analyst people to develop data mining prediction models by using decision trees, neural networks, or regression, and then sort of scoring these models to see which one is the best predictor of a certain business problem. So that's sort of those tools, and I will be in this course teaching you the SaaS Enterprise Miner. So that is sort of a basic my introduction of the feel look of SaaS Enterprise Miner.